Hello, friends, colleagues, and YouTube subscribers. Welcome to French Press Friday. What is French Press Friday? Well, during a normal school year, French Press Friday is when I get together with my colleagues at the end of the day. We sit in the music lounge, we French press a cup of or a pot of coffee, and we sit around and we talk about everything from our personal lives to what's happening in our school week and what we're planning for the future. This is time where I steal all kinds of ideas from great educators and implement them into my own teaching. But I haven't had that for 6 months, and it doesn't look like I'm probably going to get that this year in the normal way. So I figured I have a YouTube channel. I've got a few people interested in what I do. So I'm going to try to provide French Press Friday here for all of you. So there's three things that I want to talk about. And it's like kind of like past, present, and future, really. So the past is what happened this week. A little bit of background is we are headed into a hybrid schedule, which means small groups of students for us, for the most part, that aren't meeting as often. And instrumentation is like all over the place for my band. And so this is something, I mean, I've never done anything like this before. And the fact that we have some students that are fully online and some that are hybrid. And this kind of living in two worlds of bricks and mortar and online. So that's so different from the prep that I've done every single year. It's so different that even like day one stuff that for the most part, I open up a document in Google Docs and it's like my day one plan, and I change a couple things here and there, but it's kind of like the same thing. And I looked at my day one plan. I'm like, can't do that, can't do that, can't do that, because of mostly because of social distancing. And I just kind of like, I had to blow that up and start over again. And I don't mind that because I love breaking routine and finding new things, but it just takes a lot of time. And so, that consume time this week, things like that. But, there was also this feeling this week of took one step, as a colleague of mine said, he took one step forward and three steps back, because I'd finished planning something and I ended with more questions than I had when I started it. So that's how I'm feeling, that's how things went for me, and how I'm feeling about it is like this full range of emotions this week. This week I was angry and confused. I was happy. I laughed. I enjoyed conversations with colleagues. I felt isolated at times. I got super annoyed with wearing a mask, and not as a political debate, because I'm not going to go there, but just the act of wearing the mask. You can even hear I'm an asthmatic, and so like there's some issues there for me anyway. So just this full spectrum of emotions, and like kind of capping that too is like just very excited to have students that I haven't seen for so long walk in the door. So it was a bonkers first week, or prep week. Now, we have a 4-day weekend coming into this. I probably have at least 4 days worth of stuff that I can still be doing. But I decided that I couldn't do that to myself. I keep a whiteboard, and my whiteboard is like what's going on in my brain and all the different things I don't want to forget that I have to do. And I looked at my whiteboard and I wrote down like the 4 or 5 things that had to get done before school starts. And those are the things, about 2 hours worth of work, that I'm going to do in this 4-day weekend. I feel like that's fair, right? And what it's going to allow me to do now is to take care of my own mental health. So as soon as I get done with this video, I'm actually jumping on my motorcycle. I'm riding around beautiful Minnesota. I'm going to go stop and see my parents and just take some time at the lake and give myself some time to make sure that on Tuesday, when I see students, I'm sharp, I'm rested, I'm ready for them. It kind of goes back to like that analogy with like the airline mask, and that you put your mask on first, because that's you got to save yourself so you can save others. Well, that's what we got to do right now. Make sure you take care of yourself, be the healthiest you can be, so that when you see students, you can be your best for them. That's that, man, isn't that something I would go back in time and slap this into me, is like, in order for me to be my best for my students, I cannot run myself ragged. I can't. It's just, I don't have the energy then to be kind and patient and thoughtful and all the other things. So take time for yourself now. And I'll say especially this year. I mean, we should do it all the time, but especially this year. The last thing I'm going to tell you is, this is the future part, because as I made plans and looked at things, I'm like, I don't know if this thing is going to work. I think it's going to work, but it might not. So I'm making plans that might not work. And in doing that and accepting that they might not work, but I'm going to give it my darndest, I'm prepared to give myself grace. Something that we do not, as adults, as teachers, we do not give ourselves grace. We hand it out freely, but we don't give it to ourselves. So when things are not going well for you this year, because anybody that believes that this year is just going to go off without a hitch is lying to themselves. It's going to be a hard year, but give yourself grace. Give yourself that forgiveness, and in that, you give yourself the ability to move on and learn from that, and maybe even just adapt that thing that didn't go right. Right? So I guess I just want to close really with that thought of giving yourself grace. And also give yourself that French press cup of coffee every once in a while.